Hey folks, thank you for joining us. Welcome to Retirement Roadmap with Master Plan Retirement. My name is Evan, and with me is Kim Scofi of United Military Care. Kim is a special guest we have with us today for a special episode. Kim is founder and president of United Military Care, a nonprofit organization that has been supporting veterans since 2012. She's also the executive chair at the Georgia Veterans Network, which is in collaboration with the Veterans Administration. She's certified as a nonprofit executive and a guest instructor for Peace Office Standards and Training at the Georgia Public Safety Training Center. Say that 5 times fast, Kim. In 2018, Kim was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor, Citizen's Honor, for her commitment and service to our veterans. Kim, thank you so much for being here with us today. And thank you for your service to our veterans. To start out, can you introduce yourself, give yourself a little background?
Sure. Thank you for having me. Lived in Marietta for over 40 years. I come from a military family and see in the state of Georgia the number of veterans that we have here that need help, and work hard every day with a great team to try and bring those benefits to the veterans who need them.
Now, you've been working in veteran care for a long time, even before United Military Care. How did life lead you to pursue veteran care?
I am actually the daughter and daughter-in-law of 2 veterans. One was Air Force, one Army Special Forces, and I watched the struggles that they had, and they did not access the care that they needed, and they didn't feel like they were eligible for. And I watched those struggles, grew up with that, and decided after working for a national nonprofit addressing the needs of active duty service members that my veterans, I speak possessively about my veterans, were falling through the cracks, and started United Military Care to address that.
We were talking before this with Allie, who works in our office, and her father is a veteran as well, and he has the feeling that let someone who needs it more pursue the care. And that seems to be, like you mentioned earlier, veterans are selfless people, and that seems to be a prevailing problem. We don't know the depth of the need.
Absolutely. American veterans are the most selfless, giving individuals that you will ever come across. And I tell people all the time, regardless of your faith, if you can ever find another human being that's willing to die for you as a complete stranger, you must realize that that carries through all of their life. And they would much rather those that they feel are in greater need receive those benefits. And it's not a finite pool of resources that's there for them. We encourage them to get those benefits and apply for them, because we think it's important that the people who sit behind the desk and beg Congress to send us to war need to understand the true costs of that war.
That's good, yeah. Could you give us some background to United Military Care and just discuss how it serves our veterans?
Sure. United Military Care is a nonprofit here in the state of Georgia, and we serve veterans in 3 ways. We have one-on-one case management, where a veteran can approach us with a need, whether they are homeless or they have a question about their benefits and what might be available, or another program that might help them. So that's one way we assist. The second way we assist are through events called We Care Vet Fairs, where we bring together communities, providers to educate and provide services to our veterans. And then the third is the Georgia Veterans Network, which is a community veteran engagement board in partnership with the VA. And we go into communities and make sure they're aware of the benefits that are available to them. Excuse me, we do not work for the VA, but we make sure that our veterans understand what the VA has to offer.
The We Care Resource Fair is the first thing that I was aware of when I was introduced to you. This is a really amazing opportunity. Can you speak a little bit to what consists of the resource fair?
Certainly. The We Care Vet Fair is it's a community initiative, and it's based on the needs in the community. So we evaluate data on what veterans are in the community, what struggles they may be facing, and then we handpick organizations, both government and nonprofit, to come together and address those needs. So it's specific to the area that we're in, specific to those needs. The recent We Care Fair that we did in Marietta at the Cobb Civic Center, we had over 3,000 veterans come through.
Wow.
One very special story, a Vietnam veteran who had been denied his benefits for 30 years, thought he'd try just one more time, and came in and sat down with a representative from the VA who found the wording in his military records. He was granted 100% disability, which is almost $4,000 a month, and it was retroactive.
Wow.
So that's the kind of difference the We Care vet fairs make.
Absolutely. The We Care Vet Fair, they have different booths that provide different services. Is that correct?
That's correct. We cover 11 different pillars of care, and that is based on 10 years of research on every veteran who came to United Military Care and what they needed. Giving someone who's hungry a sandwich does not solve hunger.
Right.
So when you really want to affect change and you really want to help the veterans, you look at why are they hungry? Why can they not afford their own food? What programs or what assistance need to be put into place to allow them to receive food now and in the future care for themselves? The old adage of leading a horse to water. And so that's what the We Care Fairs do across 11 pillars of care. We address mental health, physical health, veterans benefits, employment, socialization. Loneliness is the largest epidemic in this country. So 11 different pillars of care that we address one-on-one with vetted, licensed providers that provide all their services for free.
Wow. So clearly it seems like there's an opportunity for volunteers. Can businesses get involved in this as well?
Absolutely. We don't allow any selling at these events because if there's a veteran out there who has $1 left in their pocket, I don't want them to feel that they don't have access. But if you have good information, your business cares about veterans and their families or caregivers and survivors and want to be involved, we encourage you to get in touch with us if you have a product or service that's applicable to our veterans.
Did I hear correctly that there was even a booth for legal documents?
Yes, we have both criminal law and civil law represented. We work with a couple of different organizations to provide free estate law, so wills, powers of attorney, advanced healthcare directives, but we also had criminal law represented. The district attorney was there, and to help those who might have an offense on their record that's preventing them from getting a good job or a place to live, they can work with them directly to help expunge that.
That's huge. That's an amazing opportunity. Backing out a little bit with a bigger picture view, from your vast experience in the field, what are the most prominent needs for veterans today?
Education.
How so?
Education in that the system is built, it's very complex, and it's, in my opinion, very confusing. And it's very heavy technology based. So if you are not what I would consider very learned with technology, you might find it difficult to navigate getting your benefits. But it's a very complex system, and education, in my opinion, is the foremost need. You can find places that will help with paying rent or a mortgage if somebody's unable to, or a car payment, or helping afford a prescription. But what they need to know, they don't know, and that is what is out there that will help me get back on the right track.
Yeah.
We don't want to be somebody handing out a bag of food, although that's necessary. That's not what we're about. We want to solve the problem. That's why we take a three-pronged approach between one-on-one management all the way up to the Veterans Network, where we're talking about changing legislation to affect our veterans. We want to change the direction
That's great.
that our veterans are going in.
Technology being a hurdle, I've heard that before. Certain documents that veterans need in order to even access a VA home, or if they're in a shelter and don't have access to a printer and need a library card or anything else like that, that's a huge hurdle to get over.
Well, and one of the things I share, and I share this when I teach for the Georgia Public Safety Training Center, is this. We've all been driving down the road and seen somebody at the end of the off-ramp that has a sign that says, we'll work for food, or homeless. And we think, if they just spent that time getting a job, they'd be so much better off. So the first form you have to fill out when you go to get a job in the United States is an I-9. You have to have documented proof that you're eligible to work here, whether it's a driver's license or Social Security. To obtain those documents, you have to have birth certificates, military orders, what's called a DD-214. If you don't have those things, you're not going to get those documents. And that's not a quick fix to get those things. So not only is it difficult technologically, but we've put a lot of challenges, a lot of hurdles in front of people who want to make their situation better.
We've just begun to touch on my next question, so it's perfect. As someone who founded a nonprofit specifically for veteran care, do you feel our government systems in place are adequately providing for veterans, and where do you see the opportunities for improvement?
I think that if you're speaking specifically about the Veterans Administration, that they are doing the best they have with what they have. Now, the caveat to that is I think there needs to be more involvement from general public. The veterans who are boots on the ground that are having to navigate those systems, access those benefits, are the patients receiving care. I think they need to be more involved in the decision making, whether that's through a focus group, a marketing research, sitting on committees. But I think that needs to take place. It's unfortunate, but there are so many people in suits who make decisions that affect thousands. And veterans are only 1% of the population, but they're a very special percent.
Yeah.
And they make decisions that affect their care, and yet they don't really have a voice in their care. So I think that's backwards.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's the most significant missing piece for veterans nationally?
Education. Regardless of coast, regardless of populace, overriding, and I've been all over this country, it's the lack of education.
So Georgia specific, how do we fit in nationally with veteran care and population?
Veteran population, we're actually in the top 10 for the highest number of veterans. We average between 750,000 to 800,000 veterans.
Why do you think that is, top 10?
There's something called the serial grin that starts in Southern California, goes below Texas and all the way up to the East Coast, Midway, because of climate, port access, and airspace. That's where a majority of your military installations are going to be. And it makes sense that most of the veterans are going to gravitate towards the military installations that they serve to receive the services that they're due.
Great. Folks, I do want to take one moment to point you out to our website, masterplanretire.com, where you can schedule your complimentary consultation to discuss your own retirement. We have multiple retirement resources there, as well as links to episodes like this one. So go to masterplanretire.com, schedule now, or you can call us at the office, 770-980-9262. Also, how can we get in touch with you?
Sure, very easy. UnitedMilitaryCare.org. You can call 770-973-0014. Again, it's UnitedMilitaryCare.org. We're local here in Marietta, and we serve statewide, and we could use all the help we can get.
So you mentioned there needs to be a bigger push on the community front, the civilian front. How can citizens affect policy change for our veterans?
I think it's education. I think they need to understand the veterans in their community, that it's their local postman, it's the teller behind the bank or at the bank, it's their real estate agent that served, and they need to recognize that veterans are all among us. They're everywhere. Their caregivers and their families are all around us, and embrace them and welcome them into their community. That's the first step. Second step is America's got to stand up and realize that we elect people to go into office. We need to know what they're doing when they get there. You need to write letters. You need to have phone conversations. You need to attend their meetings and understand. If you don't, I don't think you have a right to complain.
Well, I think that's one of the beautiful things about what you are doing, and why I'm so thankful that our paths cross, because you are a localized, to me, in my community, opportunity to make steps forward as me as a citizen who did not serve, but certainly grateful and appreciative of veterans who have. That's an actual tangible way that I know I can start to move forward and make a difference.
And there is something for everybody. This is not about just about veterans. This is not just about the men and women who wore the cloth of this country. This is an American thing. And I highly encourage everybody that has the opportunity to give back in your community, whether it's for veterans, whether it's for saving pets, it's helping people who are low income or hungry. Get involved. It's an American thing. Get involved.
I don't know who said this quote, and I'm going to butcher it, but to paraphrase, a country is only as strong as their weakest citizen or most in need. And I think when we look at those who gave the biggest sacrifice for our country and our freedoms, and to see once they return how often they fall forgotten and put in the margins, it's when you really look at the picture, it's shaming.
Well, I agree with you, and I wish I knew who said that. And we have a quote, and that is that one veteran who questions their value, their service, or their life is one too many.
That's good. So Master Plan as a company, we do our quarterly giving drives to give our mostly retired population or those thinking about retirement opportunities for service or to give, things like that. It's not only gives back to the community, but gives our clients an opportunity who might not have as much involvement in retirement, network and places to contribute and feel like they can develop a community in some way. So one of our clients, who's a friend of yours as well and a colleague, Dan Heydrich, he mentors through the Bravo Victor Fund here in Marietta, Georgia. He's the one who introduced us to you. I was honored to join him at Veterans Court here in Marietta, and one of the great impressions made upon me, one of many, was the support the veterans were giving each other in the Veterans Court. There were the veteran mentors from the program. There were graduates of the program there. There were veterans working through the program, speaking to the judge and presenting their progress. Even the court officials were on a first-name basis and joking with these guys and catching up and supportive of the progress of each individual veteran who were at different stages. There were even a couple of men who were currently incarcerated that were in their jumpsuits that they brought in as veterans to sit in and just see. And they mentioned that they didn't even know this existed and that there was a support group who cared about them. These are communities in our backyard, and yet there's such isolation for so many veterans. Like you said, education, they don't know. As supportive and uplifting as this group was for each other, it also felt like it existed in a bubble. This is the first time I even knew this existed. And in the margins of rote daily life for your average citizen, if not even just removed completely from that. So can we foster a community that encompasses civilians and veterans alike, caring and supporting the needs of those who gave so much for us?
Absolutely. If you look back historically, how much our country has changed since World War II. World War II, everyone had somebody involved. Somebody was in the service, or a wife and a mother was serving because her husband was overseas, or a brother or an uncle.
Which completely turned our economy around.
It completely turned our economy around, but everybody had skin in the game, if you will. Then we go to Korea, that is aptly known as the Forgotten War. Unfortunately, this country has forgotten about our Korean War veterans. And then into Vietnam, which was a highly contentious, unfavorable war. Our veterans were bastardized when they came home and were not cared for. And what you find is then the 20-plus year war in the Middle East. Americans don't necessarily, in my opinion, overall, know how to react, how to care, and how to show their concern. It's not buying a $5 made in China magnet and putting it on the rear of your car.
Or an Old Navy American flag tee. Does that help?
Hey, everybody has their purpose. Everybody has their method, but find your purpose. What's your why? And realize, I challenge people every day that when you say the Pledge of Allegiance at a meeting, or you pass the flag, or the old guy in the grocery store that's wearing the ball cap, realize that that gentleman had to do things, or that woman had to do things that they would never wish on anybody else. And they did so because they believe in this country. It's an American thing.
Find your purpose is huge. And from my perspective as a retirement planner, retirement kind of goes like this. You start off really fun and exciting, travel to your bucket list and all this other stuff, and then you get into the road of daily life, and you don't have your 9 to 5 anymore. And we all know those people who retire and then just kind of sit at home and don't really know what to do with themselves. And purpose is huge for us as humans, period.
Absolutely.
And that goes not only for people to volunteer to help the veterans and those who serve, but those who served themselves need new purpose. And I think making room in our communities for them to be able to find a new purpose and serve in new ways that are connected is huge.
And that's what we do with the Battle Buddy program under our one-on-one case management. Our Battle Buddy program brings together folks who are retired, veteran or not, and they go and visit other people, have a cup of coffee, make a phone call, write them a letter and check in on them. Let's break this loneliness cycle because it's killing more Americans than we know.
Are the Battle Buddies, so the Bravo Victor Fund mostly is mentors who are veterans mentoring other veterans. Are the Battle Buddies veterans as well? Those, I guess, would you call them buddies?
It depends on the need of the veteran that's going to be visited. If that veteran needs to talk with another veteran, or it's preferred by the family or the veteran himself, then a veteran goes. But there's no reason in the world that any American who's proud of this country can stand up and go and volunteer with us, go and celebrate and have coffee with them, play bingo, or talk to them on the phone. Anyone. Again, it's not limited to those who wore the cloth. This is an American thing.
That's right, yeah. So how would someone get involved with Battle Buddies if they wanted to serve in that way?
They can visit our website and sign up, or they can call us.
Great. Beyond the caring and supporting, we've been talking about community, integrating veterans who have been left behind back into our community. What are some ways that we can, it might even be like you mentioned, the technology and policy that is very restrictive and it leaves so many on the margins and there's so many roadblocks. How can we ease them back into our community? And is it policy that has to change first, or is it the civilians and the population that has to reach out and bring them in?
I think it's simultaneous. I think that we have to flank it from all sides because we are working.
You are a military child.
Flank it. You heard me say it. Sorry.
No, I love it. It's great.
I learned my alphabet: Alpha, Bravo.
That's right. That's right.
Charlie, Delta, Echo. We are painting ourselves in a corner. The veteran population is dying, and we got a lot of folks who need to be cared for. So again, there's an opportunity for everyone to do something.
That's great. So, education.
Absolutely.
It keeps coming up. How do we educate?
We get out there. We talk about it. Businesses come forward. Nonprofits come forward. We analyze and look at the data and talk to our veterans. What's going on? What are your hardships? What are your stumbling blocks? And then find the solutions.
We are a very distracted society at the moment. It takes a lot to peel us away from our distractions, whether we're looking for our next dopamine hit. I mean, I'm as guilty as anyone else with my phone. We also are having a rough time too. The economy and everything else, inflation coming out of the pandemic, people are struggling. It's hard to branch out beyond yourself when there's so many things that are drawing you in, and so many people are in fight or flight mode. What would you say to folks who are struggling to even get out beyond survival?
One step. One step.
What does that look like?
You either choose to stay where you're at with the view that you have, or take one step to the left or one step to the right. Doesn't have to be forward. One step to the left or one step to the right. Look at your purview from a different purview. Look at your situation differently.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for your time. Can you give everyone a contact for you one more time before we close out?
Sure.
Tonight?
Thank you for having me. It's unitedmilitarycare.org, 770-973-0014.
Well, Kim, again, thank you for being here today. Thank you for your commitment and dedication to our veterans.
Thank you.
We certainly need it, and I, for one, am grateful for your work and conviction. So again, thank you from the bottom of our hearts at Master Plan, and everyone in Atlanta listening to this right now, thank you so much.
Thank you. It's our honor.
Thanks, folks. Thanks for listening, and remember, masterplanretire.com. Plan well and prosper.
This was Retirement Roadmap Radio with Mark Fricks of Master Plan Retirement Consultants. To schedule a complimentary consultation, go to masterplanretire.com or call 770-980-9262. Thanks for listening, and remember, plan well and prosper.
All matters discussed during this show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. Advisory services offered through Master Plan Retirement Consultants, a registered investment advisor in the state of Georgia. Mark Fricks and Master Plan Retirement Consultants are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency.